Why talk about it? Let's just do it.
How fare thee? Well, sir. How fare thee? Well, sir. Is she to be buried in Christian burial that willfully seeks her own salvation? It must be say off in dendo. It cannot be else. Here lies the water. Good. Here stands the man. Good? If the man goes to the water and drowned himself, it is willy-nilly he goes. Mark you that? But if the water come to him and drowned him, he drowns not himself. Argal, he that is not guilty of his own death shortens not his own life. Whew. Great folks should have countenance in this world to hang or drown themselves more than they're even Christian. Come, my spade. There is no ancient gentleman, but gardeners, ditchers, and grave makers. They hold up Adam's profession. Adam was the first that ever bore arms. Scripture says Adam digged. Could he dig without arms? Cudgel thy brains no more about it, for your dull ass will not mend his pace with beating. And when you are asked this question next, you say, a grave maker. The houses they make, last till doomsday. In youth, when I did love me, thought was very sweet. To contract time for my behove, oh, me thought there was nothing meet.
Has this fellow no feeling of his business that he sings at grave making?
But age with his steel and step hath caught me in his clutch, and has stripped me until the land as if I'd ever been such.
This skull had a tongue in it and could sing once. How the knave jowls it to the ground as if it were Cain's jawbone that did the first murder. It might be the pate of a politician which this ass o'eroffices, one that would circumvent God, might it not? Or of a courtier which could say, "Good morrow, sweet lord. How dost thou, good lord?" This might be my lord such a one that did praise my lord such a one's horse when he meant to beg it, might it not? And now, my lady worms, chapless, and knocked about the mazzard with a sexton's spade. Here's fine revolution, if we had the trick to see it. Do these bones cost no more the breeding than to play at loggets with them? Mine ache to think on it.
A pickaxe and a spade for, and a shrouding sheet. A pit of clay for to be made, for such a guest is meet. Oh, yeah. Ah.
There's another. Why might not this be the skull of a lawyer? Where be his quiddits now, his quillets, his cases, his tenures, and his tricks? Will he suffer this rude knave now to knock him about the sconce with a dirty shovel and not tell him of his action of battery? This fellow in his time might be a great buyer of lands with his statutes, his recognizances, his fines, his double vouchers, his recoveries. Is this the fine of his fines and the recovery of his recoveries, to have his fine pate filled with fine dirt? Will his vouchers vouch him no more of his purchases, and double ones too, than the length and breadth of a pair of indentures? The very conveyances of his lands will scarcely lie in this box, and must the inheritor himself have no more? I will speak with this fellow. Whose grave's this, sirrah?
It's mine, sir. A pit of clay for to be made, for such a guest is meet. Boom, boom.
I think it is thine indeed, for thou liest in it.
You lie out on it, sir, and therefore it is not yours. For my part, I do not lie in it, and yet it is mine.
Thou dost lie in it to be in it, and say 'tis thine. 'Tis for the dead, not for the quick, therefore thou liest.
'Tis a quick lie, sir, and 'twill away again from me to you.
What man dost thou dig it for?
For no man, sir.
What woman then?
None neither.
Who is to be buried in it?
One that was a woman, sir, but rest her soul, she's dead.
How absolute the knave is. We must speak by the card, or equivocation will undo us. By the Lord, these 3 years I have taken note of it. The age has grown so picked that the toe of the peasant comes so near the heel of the courtier, he galls his kibe. How long hast thou been a gravedigger?
Of all the days of the year, I came to it that day that our last King Hamlet o'ercame Fortinbras.
How long is that since?
Can you not tell that? Every fool can tell that. It was the very day young Hamlet was born, he that was mad and sent into England.
Aye. Mary. Why was he sent into England?
Why? Because he was mad. He shall recover his wits there, or if he do not, it's no great matter there.
Why?
Will not be seen in him. There the men are as mad as he.
How came he mad?
Ooh, very strangely, they say.
How strangely.
Faith, even with losing his wits.
Upon what ground?
Here in Denmark. I have been sexton here, man and boy, 30 years, and you can...
Prithee, dost thou think Alexander the Great looked to this fashion in the earth?
Even so.
And smelt so too?
Even so.
To what base uses may we return? Why may not imagination trace the noble dust of Alexander till he find him stopping a bunghole?
'Twere to consider. Too curiously to consider so.
No faith, not a jot, but to follow him thither with modesty enough and the likelihood to lead it as thus. Alexander was born. Alexander died. Alexander was buried. Alexander returneth into dust. The dust is earth, of earth we make loam, and of that loam whereto he was converted, why may they not stop a beer barrel? Imperious Caesar, dead and turned to clay, might stop a hole to keep the wind away. Oh, that earth, which kept the world in awe, should patch a wall to expel the winter's flaw. How long will a man lie in the earth ere he rot?
Faith, if he be not rotten afore he die, as we have many pocky courses nowadays that'll scarce hold the laying in, he will last you some 8 year, 9 year. Oh, a tanner will last you 9 years.
Why he more than another?
Why, sir, his hide is so tanned with his trade that he will keep out the water a great while. And your water is a sore decayer of your horse and dead body. Here's the skull now. This skull has lain in the earth 23 years.
Whose was it?
A horse and mad fella it was. Whose do you think it was?
Nay, I know not.
A pestilence on him for a mad rogue. Poured a flagon of Rhenish on my head once. This same skull, sir, is Yorick's skull, the king's jester.
This?
Even that.
Let me see. Alas, poor Yorick. I knew him, a fellow of infinite jest and most excellent fancy. He hath borne me on his back 1,000 times, and now how abhorred in my imagination it is. My gorge rises at it. Here hung those lips that I have kissed I know not how oft. Where be your jibes now, your gambols, your songs, your flashes of merriment that were wont to set the table on a roar? Not one now to mock your own grinning? Quite chop-fallen? Now get you to my lady's chamber and tell her, let her paint an inch thick. To this favor she must come. Make her laugh at that. Hey ho! Ladies and gentlemen, my friend, Mr. Paul Lasakow. Well done, Gravedigger. We'll be outside. I have a handout with thoughts about books to read, films to see, and so on that I'd be happy to give you and sign. I will stay as long as you're interested in doing it. But let me close, Paul, with the last thing Shakespeare ever wrote. For the theater, it's from The Tempest, the last known Shakespearean play, and he gives, through the character of Prospero, a sort of farewell to the theater. He says this, and it's an appropriate goodbye tonight. Our revels now are ended. These our actors, as I foretold you, were all spirits, and are melted into air, into thin air. And like the baseless fabric of this vision, the cloud-capped towers, the gorgeous palaces, the great globe itself, yea, all which it inherit, shall dissolve, and like this insubstantial pageant faded, leave not a rack behind. We are such stuff as dreams are made on, and our little life is rounded with a sleep. Good night, everyone.